Hi everyone, this is Joy with Create It with Joy. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's project is a project using Simon Says Stamp March card kit of the month called Stronger Together. The florals in this are really beautiful, and I've got to use some watercolor pencils that came in the kit, and that was a first for me. So I'm starting off with some wonky rectangle dies from Simon Says Stamp. And I'm cutting that out of some Cardstock Warehouse Kraft Parcel Wrap cardstock. They actually have a few different colors of Kraft cardstock, and I really liked the intensity of color on this one. It still was on the lighter side, but not super light, if that makes sense. So for me, personal choice, that's what I like. So I ran that through my die cut machine with the largest Simon Says Stamp Wonky Rectangles die. And then I am going to be taking some white cardstock and I'm going to make some strips out of that. And I didn't really have a size in mind. I was even checking the other, the smallest wonky rectangle, and it was too big. So I'm just trimming down some cardstock with my paper trimmer, and I'm just kind of lining it up. I knew that I wanted to have 3 panels for this, 3 white panels that would go on that Kraft background. And so I'm just trimming down to get them to fit with a nice space in between. So as you can see, it's too big, so I'm just working back and forth. I will show you the measurement here on my little ruler. I believe it was like about 1 3/4 of an inch when it was all said and done. And I kept thinking, oh no, this is going to be too tiny. The little white strips are going to be too tiny, but actually it worked out perfect. So now that I've got those the right size, here I'm just showing you with my little ruler. And like I said, I'm pretty sure it's about 1 3/4 inches or a little bit less, or around there somewhere. But you could definitely change that up for your size of card, whatever makes sense for you guys. So now I'm going to use an anti-static tool for my background piece of Kraft cardstock. And I'm going to be taking some of the stamped images with the leaves. There's 2 of them. And I'm going to take some clear embossing ink. Oh, yes. And I'm going to be inking up. Actually, this is Simon Says Stamp clear embossing ink. Sorry, guys. And I'm stamping up the whole background, and I'm going to be putting some clear embossing powder on this when I'm all done. Even though you're not going to see really a ton of this, I still wanted this background to have some character besides just that little wonky stitched area on this background. So again, just using some clear embossing powder just so it looks like it's a darker part of this cardstock. So I'm going to heat that through, and I was just going to do around the edges, but I thought, no, you're probably going to see little bits of pieces in between these white cardstock panels. So I went back in and stamped those images in the center. Doing the same thing with clear embossing powder, and the clear embossing powder that I am using is from Ranger Ink. And I'm going to finish heating that through, and then you can see how pretty that looks. So now I'm taking my panels, and I'm taking images off of the Stronger Together stamp set that comes in this card kit. Just picking and choosing the ones that I like. I'm going to be inking that up and using clear embossing ink on this white cardstock. I really wanted this to almost have a no-line watercolor effect, but I wanted the clear embossing powder that's already been heated through and done to kind of resist. So it's kind of a foolproof way for me, because I am not a watercolorist at all, you guys. But this was really super easy to do, and I'm really glad that I did it this way. So I'm going to do that 2 more times for a total of those 3 panels, just lining them up, inking it up using clear embossing powder and heating that through until it is melted. And really, it's kind of hard to see on the white cardstock. And actually, the paper that I'm using for this is watercolor paper from Ranger. I liked it. A lot of times I use the Bristol Smooth cardstock watercolor paper, but this time I wanted that textured side, and so I'm using Ranger's watercolor paper for that. So here's my third image that I'm stamping. I'm prepping each time with an anti-static tool, just so not that you would see the clear embossing powder, but you would once you added the color to your panel. So I just didn't want to deal with that. So here are the colored pencils, and I'm just using 2 colors from the colored pencils, the watercolor pencils, excuse me, from the card kit, and it's from Studio 71. And I picked out a red and a green. I picked out a red colored pencil, and then I picked out it's kind of a sagey green, which I really, really liked. And I am just laying down the color. Again, I am not a person who does watercoloring, but I laid down the color just a little bit kind of at the base of the flower where I wanted it to be darker. And I'm using my water brush pen. I just sprayed some water on my work surface. This is the Tim Holtz Glass Media Mat. And then I just dip the tip of my brush in. And then I kind of dab it off on a paper towel to control how much water I need, because these images aren't huge and I just didn't want to mess it up. Again, the clear embossing powder that we put down is keeping that water and that color in nicely. So now what I'm going to do with this green colored pencil is, because the stems on these flowers are solid, there's no open spot to color. So I'm actually going to go draw a line with the green colored pencil down the side of each of the stems and a little bit of water and lightly color it, and it actually turned out really nice. I loved how it turned out. So on some of these leaves, I've laid down the color dry, added some water to it, and then realized I needed it a little bit darker and came back in, and the watercolored pencil worked great on the wet cardstock too, and it gave it a little bit of a different look, and I really liked doing it both ways. I have no idea if that's the proper way to use these at all. This is just how I used it. So I'm going back in, adding a little bit darker areas where I want to on these flowers, and a little bit more water just to blend it out. Again, really controlling how much water I put on there so I don't mess up my flowers. And then we're going to be doing the stem here in just a second. So I'm just super lightly, sorry, my head is in the way, you guys, super lightly going down each side of the stem, because again, that is clear embossed. And then I will take the tiniest bit of water and just slightly blend it out. And I think it came out looking really good, actually. I wouldn't have changed a single thing. This was kind of like a trial and error thing because I've not used these before. Now I use Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers all the time, and so it's quite similar. Here is the next image. This is actually going to be the center image on my card, and it's just all of the green leaves, which I really liked. This green in here is so super pretty. So see the color, how I'm laying it down, and those images are already wet, so it looks a little bit different, and I just really like the look of it. Maybe that's how you're supposed to use it all the time. I don't know. But I'm just blending everything out, and I will do the same thing, drawing down the side of each stem, and there's quite a few stems on this, and it was kind of hard to see, but thankfully the clear embossing powder is shiny once it's melted. So there are the lines. And again, I will come back with a little bit of water just to blend that out. Really super easy, and I was really happy with the way that this looked. I didn't show you the last one because I colored it the same way that I colored the first one. So I will be adding some foam tape behind each one of these panels because I do want dimension behind them. If you didn't want to use foam tape, you could use Fun Foam, the white Fun Foam behind it, and that would work out just fine. I'm going to attach this Kraft colored card panel to an A2 size card base, and it will have a white frame around it, which is perfect for me. I'm really digging the white frame around these cards. If I could actually get it to adhere down straight, then everything would be great. Then I had this really fine gold twine, and I just doubled it up because it was so thin. And I'm just going to be using the foam tape to hold it down. So I just laid it across that panel. I will pull it tight on this side. I actually had to bring in something to hold it down because I couldn't quite get my hand figured out. So once it's pulled tight, I'm just using my tape runner to hold it down and lining everything up and getting everything centered and evenly spaced with one another. So now I'm going to put the center one down, and then we'll take that twine and tie it across and kind of off to the right side, on the middle panel, but to the right side of it. I'm using a little bit of glue, a little bit of adhesive, just to kind of help hold that in place while I'm tying a knot. And then I will tuck that out, and I will trim off the excess. We do not need something that long. I actually do trim it off a little bit shorter, but I wanted to wait till everything was done till I had the sentiments on here. So I am using Yana's sentiments from Spellbinders, the Glimmer hot foil sentiments, and the one that I picked is Sending My Love, and so I ran that through my hot foil system. I do have videos on how to do that, so if you want to look at my other videos, you can. And then the I Miss You sentiment from the Stronger Together stamp set from Simon Says Stamp. I am using gold embossing powder, and then I will trim that out. And on the foiled sentiment, I used gold foil. I kind of liked the gold. It really went well to me with this Kraft cardstock. So I'm heating that through, and I will trim that out. I did not leave a white border around that at all. I added a little bit of foam tape and some liquid glue, and I'm gluing it right over that little knot that we tied, and then I'm going to trim up the rest of that. And then I will add a little bit of foam tape and some liquid adhesive behind the Sending My Love sentiment, and I will glue that down. And then you have this really, really beautiful floral card. So what do you guys think? I hope that you love this card. I just think it's absolutely beautiful, and I'm so happy with how it turned out. It's got this beautiful stamp set. It's got a foiled greeting and embossed sentiment. I think it really is a fantastic card. Thank you guys so very much for stopping by on my channel. I appreciate all of your support. I hope that this card has inspired you to create something wonderful. If you like what you've seen, please subscribe to my channel. Thumbs up, please share with your crafty friends, and I definitely love your comments. I do have some affiliate links below. It doesn't cost you anything, but it does continue to help me make these videos. So thank you, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.